All right, guys, it's episode 6 of Cleats to Seats, and we are officially in the off season of high school football. Today's episode is going to feature the press box, where we travel up to Thompson High School. If you're wanting to check out Tide Talk with the upcoming college football playoff game, or Behind the Plains, where we feature Auburn football, those will be posted separate. You can check those out on our Facebook, our TikTok, or our YouTube page. Make sure to go like and follow all three of those. Today's episode is going to be all about our high school coach that we're spotlighting. Anybody that's coaching high school football, we are getting ready for the off season and ramping up right now before Christmas break. So you might be finishing up your strength and conditioning plan and figuring out what you want to do and roll into when you come back in January. We're going to go up to Thompson High School with the reigning 7A state champions and talk to their strength and conditioning coach. And he's going to give us some knowledge on what your program should look like, what it should be built around. And for any high school kids that's out there listening, he gives a good in-depth on nutrition and what you should be putting in your body to continue to get bigger, faster, and stronger. So excited for that. That's going to kind of roll us right into the weekend. And we'll be back next week with another Cleats Off. And we'll be talking about early enrollee when I went up to Auburn and enrolled in January. And we'll let that kind of roll up to the summer workouts right before our national championship year. So really excited to hear from Coach Jimmie Bunting today from Thompson High School, strength and conditioning. Let's jump into it. All right, guys. Hey, another episode of the Press Box. We're going up to Thompson High School with Coach Jimmie Bunting. Coach, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Coach. Pleasure to be on here today. Looking forward to talking a little bit with you.
Heck yeah. So, hey, I looked you up before I got on because I was trying to get to know you a little bit, and you got a heck of a resume, dude. I got 3 weeks seniority on you because you were a 91 baby, just like me.
That's
I was
right.
born August 10th. You were August 31st. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Let's
Uh,
go.
yeah, the 91 babies are the best.
That's
Tell me
right,
about your story, man. How did you end up at Thompson High School?
man. It was definitely a long road. I'm not from Alabama. I think most people that coach in Alabama usually grew up in Alabama and familiar with the area, but I actually grew up in Nebraska. Played small college football at NAIA school, and after that, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Have my degree in exercise science. Always thought I'd go into corporate wellness, whatever that means. And actually stumbled upon strength and conditioning and got to know the current strength coach at Nebraska at the time. Went down, watched one of the workouts, and was like, "Dang, like I can do this for a career. Like this is a real thing." So from there, just started applying for a ton of internship spots and got one at Colorado State. Spent a year there under Ryan Davis, who's at Maryland now. Learned a ton. He was actually Samford and Alabama strength coach as well. So
Hmm.
um, got to learn a ton from him. Just fell in love for it. It was probably the most fun I ever had in my coaching career. Is like when you don't know anything, you're not making any money. Like you're just enjoying it. There's no stress. You're just having a good time. So did that. From there, I was at Wisconsin, Ohio State briefly, and then Ryan Davis hired me back to go to Colorado State. So went back there for another 2.5 years. And I went to McNeese State University in Lake Charles, Louisiana, was the director of strength and conditioning there. Got to work under Frank Wilson. He gave me my first head job, which was an amazing experience. And then from there, I went to Washington State, spent a little time there, and then came down to Alabama, Thompson High School. Didn't know anything about Alabama high school, anything like that. Didn't really know what I was getting into, but I had a connection to Coach Freeman through Lyle Henley, and he helped me get the job, and it's been a huge blessing. And probably one of the best things I've ever done is come down here. I love it. And so been at Thompson for 3 seasons, so this will be going on four, starting in February.
Dude, that's awesome. So you're from Nebraska. Let's go back to 2008. You were state powerlifter of the year, correct?
Yes,
What's those
correct.
numbers? What's those numbers look like?
Man, I can't even remember. I was light back then. I think I competed in like the um, starting off. I remember my freshman year was like 181 pounds. I think my senior year I was up in two something, but I can't remember. Probably like 300-pound bench around, with a pause. And I think I was like 5 in the back squat and above 5 in deadlift, somewhere around there. It's so long ago.
I got you. I got you. Well, cool. Well, hey, I wanted to have you on because now, and congrats on the state championship, everybody in high school football in Alabama is officially in the off season. And we're a week out right now from rolling into Christmas break, and a bunch of coaches are probably going to be finalizing their programs, coming back after Christmas break and rolling into January. And I thought it'd be great to pick your mind being up at Thompson and kind of seeing how you guys do it. Could you take me through like a workout at your play? And not, it ain't got to be everything you're doing during the workout, but like more like the tempo when you're walking into the weight room, or kids going straight into their dynamic warm up. Where's the coaches at? Are you blowing a whistle? Like kind of just your daily how it rolls and stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. First thing I will say, just knowing high school, is there's no perfect situation. Like what works for me isn't going to work for the school up the road. And
Mm-hmm.
some of it may and some of it may not. So that's one thing I say to high school coaches is like, hey, like your situation isn't mine. I can give you some good stuff, of course, but just remember that like you don't have to mimic everything someone else does. Like take some things that work for you and keep doing what you're doing. That's been working. But typical workout, Thompson off season. So we do 6 a.m.s. So usually I'll get there at around 4:30. And we cook breakfast for our guys. That's a big thing we do is nutrition. I would say one thing, invest a lot in your nutrition, and that'll pay off whatever you can give them. So I'll get that rolling. Usually the guys will start rolling in between 5:15, 5:30. One big thing is, um, hold them accountable to set up their racks. Set up your stuff, be ready to go. I say, 5:45 at the latest, so they get in there, and then we're lucky enough to have an indoor connected to the weight room. So 5:45, they're set up. They kind of come out into the indoor. Some will be stretching around, waiting. Soon as 6 o'clock hits, they're all on the line. Pop the whistle. Quick dynamic warm up. I'd say it takes about 7 minutes. We going across the indoor, just getting them moving, getting the blood flowing, waking them up a little bit. 6 a.m. cold, early, get them going. They do a good job, but they're high school kids at the same time. Get them woke up, get them moving. Um, from there, we go into the weight room and we do our prehab. So that's just a series of exercises. Kind of aligns with the theme of the day, whether it be upper or lower body. Early off season, I'll do a split and try to put some size on the guys. So do 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days. Um, so we'll do prehab. That's a lot of target shoulders, hips, ankles, different mobility, different band work. And then whatever like the main movements are, usually prep them to go for that. So we got power cleans. We'll be hitting some light power cleans in that for squatting that day. We'll do some squat prep, maybe with a kettlebell or a goblet squat just to get them loosened up. From there, we have 12 power racks. So we got the platforms, the squat rack area on the backside. You can press and squat. So it's kind of 3 stations, and we have the indoor. So what I'll do is put 8 guys at each rack. So I'll have 2 guys on the clean variation of the day or whatever I do on the platform, and then 2 guys in the squat area, 2 guys in the bench area, 2 guys in the indoor. All right. So we got our workout sheet, and I'll order it as they go there. So just say for example, we got power clean with band YTW, we got back squat, um, guys spotting them. Usually whenever they squat, be like squatting and spotting. On the back side, if we have like RDLs, whatever, with a row, and then the indoor will have some plyometrics. So first 2 guys start at the squat. I'll give about 2.5 minutes. All right. So if we have 4 sets that day, let's say we got 4 sets. Say in 2.5 minutes, you're going to get 2 of those sets done. After that, I blow the whistle and they rotate down the sheet. So cleans, we go to squat. Squat will go to RDL. RDL guys will go outside. My outside guys will rotate back to clean. So they're going down the sheet and they're rotating back through the rack. All right. So it kind of goes in a circle. Usually on A, we'll do 2 rounds of that. That's our main stuff, our clean squats, things we need to work, knock out first. After they get done with A, 2 rotations through, so 4 total sets. Then we'll go to B, be a lot of accessory work, same setup, 4 stations rotating through B, and that's our workout. After we're done, they'll clean up. We'll bring it back out into the indoor, get them in lines. I might do a little core finisher or a competition for the day, blow them up. It's about 7:10 by then, so we move at a high tempo. So 6 to 7:10, we get all that in, feed them breakfast, send them off to school. So hopefully that gives you a little idea. I'm
No, it
more of a
does.
visual
It does.
guy, so hopefully you caught on to that.
No, you do. And I'm like, I'm one of those guys that's like squirrel. So as you're talking, I'm like, I was focusing on nutrition, then you name something else. I'm trying to make sure I have
Kind of
all my
jumped around a
questions
little
in
bit,
my
yeah.
head from what you were saying. That was good though. So I'll come back to nutrition in a second. But so you're not like a first man up, ready, blowing the whistle. They're kind of reading their sheet and they're accountable enough that they're going through their sheet, and your whistle more of is just transitioning them from one station to the next type of deal,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and you asked about the coaches. We're blessed to have a ton of coaches here.
Yeah.
Um, our coaching staff is a small army. Coach Freeman has done a great job. Our administrators, Dr. Vickers, Dr. Hester, they support us fully. So we have a huge staff. So there's a coach at every rack, and there's probably 4 coaches out in the indoor, making sure that's rolling smooth. So takes a lot of stress off me. Our coaches do a great job helping out in the wintertime. And I group the racks. We kind of mix linemen with linemen, O line, D line, few racks, mids, skills. So a lot of times those coaches are paired with their guys. So obviously they want to see their guys develop and get better. So it means something to them. Those guys on their rack, so they do a great job.
Yeah, totally. Let's go. Let's act like we're at a little 1A school, and we got 12 racks in this weight room. Okay, and I got maybe 48 to 50 kids in here lifting, and I'm putting 4 at a rack. Okay, so you got your main lift. You might have a spotter. You might have an auxiliary lift. What do you think would help a school that maybe doesn't have? They're not flowing from station to station, but we're kind of all just at our rack. Like, what do you see beneficial right there where somebody's not just standing around? We're all watching that one guy squat.
Yeah, so say we're doing squats that day, I would definitely, like one guy be squatting, one guy spotting, and then put like a hip mobility, something that's going to aid the lift for that third guy to do. And then on the fourth one, you could put a lighter accessory. We want most of our effort to be on the squat, right? You don't want to pair, hey, you're doing a squat, this guy's going to deadlift, and this guy's going to do something else crazy. We want to keep, the main thing, the main thing. So I'd say, definitely guy squatting, guy doing a spot, and a little mobility, and then maybe some band exercise with it. I would say ideally, for just in general strength and conditioning, like in a perfect world, like I don't live in a perfect world. Like we talk, I got 100 kids and 12 full racks in the indoor, and I got to get everybody in and get work because we all come in at the same time in the winter. Ideally, though, you want to do your total body explosive movements first, so like your cleans or your push presses first. Then you want to go to your other compound movements. Say if it's a squat day, squat second, and work your way down to the accessories. So you're doing accessories last. So knock out the full body movements, the bigger movements first, and work your way down in a perfect world.
So okay, so if I heard that right, so do you have a football only weight room, or y'all sharing y'all's weight room with other sports as well?
We're blessed here at Thompson. Like I said, our administration is great. We have 4 weight rooms on campus.
Oh yeah.
Um, so we do share. So in our weight room's in the football facility, and track and soccer uses as well, but they usually use it in the afternoon. So the morning, we got it to ourselves. When we're lifting in there, it's just football. But then there's another weight room down in the main school where the basketball, volleyball, wrestling uses, and then baseball and softball also have their own weight rooms at their facilities.
What? So no matter where I'm at, 1A to 7A, what's an everyday? It could be a stretch, exercise, a finisher type of deal that these coaches need to incorporate into their weight program going into the off season, like like hurdles or something like that. What kind of pops in your head that like if you don't have this in your weight program, you're really missing out?
That's a good question. I think every athlete should be doing some sort of true speed and plyometric training. I mean, I think every program is probably going to squat. I could say squat or something like that, power clean. But on top of your weight room work, I'd say just true speed work, like performance, field work, and not conditioning. Helping to make it more explosive. So I'd definitely say some speed work with some plyometrics.
Okay, let's talk. And it's kind of go off one of the coaches, a question from Coach Messina, and his question was how. Let me read it just correctly so I don't do it wrong. All right, what are some drills that create speed and explosiveness without any equipment? Like for some of these schools that may not have equipment.
Yeah. Okay. So this is going to sound very cliche, but I think it's the truth. And talking about with no equipment, the only way to get faster is to run fast. Like say, the only way to get stronger is to lift heavy weights, right? If I want to get better at long distance running, what am I going to do? Run some miles. So I'd say without equipment, um, you can do, I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do, but I'd say your speed work, competing, like having your athletes race, whether that's 10, 20, 30 yards. I usually don't go 60, 70, 80 yards. Football, we're talking about football, right? It's a game of acceleration and deceleration. Not oftentimes are you opening up and, I mean, hopefully on offense a couple times a game, but you do that on defense, you're probably chasing someone, right? So
Yeah.
I'd focus on that 10 to 20 range, hammer that, and do races. So, I line them up. You can do a bunch of different starts. You can do push up starts. You can go half kneeling starts. I'll put guys like a guy here, a guy yard in front of him, and we're going off that first guy and like chase him, like get him running fast with high intent. And then I'd say hammer the rest time. So a rule of thumb that I go off of is every 10 yards we sprint, I need a minute rest. And I know it's hard for
Mm.
football coaches, but you think about it. If you're doing, say you did 10 races, 20 yards, 200 yards of sprinting, if you just hit a race and you give them 20 seconds to go again, by the time they get to that 8th to 10th rep, they need to be 95% and above their max effort to get faster. Um, by the time you got to that 10th rep with no rest, you'd be conditioning, you'd be what, 70, 75%. Like you're not getting your athletes any faster doing that. So I always say, do we want to train our athletes like plow horses or race horses? So now sometimes you need to train them like that. Plow horses, you need to condition. Don't get me wrong, but if you're trying to get faster, you need to train them like thoroughbreds. Race horses. So that's one thing you can do. Also, find a hill. You got a hill, you can do some speed work on the hill. You can do um, also just for explosiveness, just different plyometrics. You can do broad jumps, continuous. You can stick them. You can do standing triple jumps. Any vertical plyometric as well. Um, repeat vertical jumps. I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do. I'd say any jumping, any explosive jumping movements, and any racing, sprinting. Those two things you can do without equipment. You can get faster off that.
It's a good answer. Um, take me. I think a bunch of coaches, and even like including myself, like that January, February, March like area. How much? Let's say just Monday through Friday. How much of that needs to be spent in the weight room? And I'm talking to more of like somebody that don't have an indoor connected, and they're not, and more of like a period, because I think a bunch of people in this area we're on period. So you got maybe 48 minutes with your kids and you're not getting them there before school. Some places can do that around here, but a bunch of people, you're only going to get your kids there if they're on the bus coming, and then they got to get on that bus to go home, or they're just
Mm-hmm.
sitting up at the field house till 9 o'clock at night. Right. So like in like a 48-minute time of Monday through Friday, how much do you go, all right, Monday, Tuesday, we're going to be in the weight room. Wednesday's our speed day. Like, how much would you incorporate speed development and like substituting weight training, or like, because, in 50 minutes, do you go 20 minutes in the weight room, 20 minutes speed? Like, what do you think is the overall best answer for that?
I would say early off season. I mean, I always play devil's advocate, right? It depends on what your team needs. Like, do you have a bigger team that maybe not need as much size on them and need to get faster? Do you have a smaller team that needs to get bigger? I can approach like that, but I'll just speak in general. What I would do is probably for that month of January, really hammer the weight room. You're coming off the season. They probably lost some strength. They probably lost some weight. They're coming off Christmas break. Hopefully, they're doing a little bit of something. But I found in high school, you got guys that are probably doing something most days, and you got guys that are anywhere haven't done anything. I mean, that's high school, college. We know how
Mm-hmm.
that goes when they go on break and they're not under your supervision. So I'd say January, I'd probably go 4 days lift, 1 day run, 1 day speed, because you're still a ways out for if you're doing spring ball. You don't have to worry about getting them in shape yet. So let's just take January. Let's put some spot size on them. All right. So then when we got to February, I'd probably go to like a 3 day lift and then 2 days of running speed work. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday lift, Tuesday, Thursday go speed. And then when you go into March, you're kind of getting closer to that spring ball window. All right, let's go Monday, Wednesday, Friday lift, but maybe on one of those days, let's cut it a little bit. Take 20 minutes on the back half of the day to condition them, right? When you start getting in shape. So I'll go Monday, Wednesday, good lifts. Tuesday, Thursday, speed. You're still getting some running. You're still working some conditioning aspects. It's not conditioning, but I mean, repeat sprintability is big in football too. So you're kind of checking that box. Friday, let's lift for 30 minutes, the back 20. Let's take them out. Let's condition them. So I just kind of blend it as it goes.
Yeah. You guys have a good problem with this because I don't think you have to really worry about maxing out before Christmas because of the way you finish every year. You end up finishing in the state championship. So let's talk about teams that maybe get put out the first round of the playoffs or they even don't make it to the playoffs. Do you see it beneficial for them to max out before? Because we just talked about kids not working out over the break, and that's just high
Well,
school kids, right? Do you think it's beneficial for to have a max out before you go into Christmas break, coming back in January, or are you just working the crap out of them?
I'm not a big max guy anyway, believe it or not, as a strength coach,
Yeah,
because I
hey,
think,
elaborate on that. Tell me, like
uh,
you like how y'all max, or what
yeah.
do you do?
So we really will only max at the end of our winter off season. That's the only time we max. Everything's a rep max, 2 to 3 reps. We never 1 rep max
Mm-hmm.
because the training age of these athletes is so low. You got freshmen to seniors. How long have they really been truly in a structured program? Obviously, not more than 4 years. So I just think the risk reward of maxing, like what's the risk? I've seen players go to catch a clean, and I mean it looks good, but just something different happens, and I fracture my wrist. I might not be back for the first game, so um, that's kind of why we cut the summertime maxing because it's like your star player, you max at the end of the summer, right before they go on a little break before camp. He fractures his wrist, or say the bar lands down weird and he tears his meniscus and he's out for the first 2 games. Like, is that something you really want to risk? So that's kind of how I look at it. But we'll max in the wintertime, like I said, rep max. Obviously, being really safe with the spotters, and we'll still let them get after it because I think there's another part of it is like the kids like the max. They want to see what they
Right.
can do, so that's why I still do that one in the wintertime. But I'm not living and dying. We're not winning state championships off Johnny's 600-pound squat.
It
And
does
I
help
think
though.
it does. But I'd say, and this is what I would say too, like if we need a max day for me to prove that I'm doing a good job, then I'm probably not doing a very good job. You should see these guys getting bigger, getting stronger, moving more weight throughout the off season. Like
Right. Okay.
you
So
should be able to
so
see
uh
that.
so numbers aside, how do you track progression in your kids, and kind of like give them feedback on, like hey, you're progressing, getting stronger. It's just a visual kind of deal.
Yeah, outside of numbers, obviously we track body weights. We have our guys weigh in. I'll have them weigh in Monday morning, and I'll have them weigh out Friday before they leave. So they get 2 weights a week, and then we'll do some speed testing. So I have acceleration test. I have lasers, and we'll do a 5 yard build into a 10 yard fly. That's acceleration. So we'll hammer that as part of our speed work every week, and then we do a 20 yard build into a 10 yard hold for max velocity. So that kind of will show the progress on the acceleration and the max velocity. We'll do broad jump. I think broad jump's a great football is a horizontal sport. It's not. There's a little vertical aspect, but mainly horizontal. Come off the ball, running, whatever that may be. So I think broad jump is a great indicator.
Yeah, I
Um,
like broad jump.
Explosiveness horizontally. That's football. You're coming off the ball. You're running. Um, might get a vertical jump, but definitely hitting that broad jump for sure. And then a couple change of direction tests. We'll do 5, 10, 5, which I like. And then I do a cut 45 and a cut 180, or a cut 90 and a cut 180. So with the lasers, they're running 5 yards in, and then they'll cut left 90, right 90. And then there's another one where they run 5 yards out and 180 around the cone and finish back through the same spot. So a little bit of change of direction testing as well.
Nice. I think we're testing 40s this week, so I'll be thinking about you with your lasers when I got my little.
That's right.
And I'll be looking at another coach like, oh, I missed it, dude. Did you get it? That
I'll
happens
give
all the
you.
time.
I'll
Hey,
give you. I'll give you a tip on the 40 timing. All right. So
yeah.
if you're you're at the end of the line. If they're coming from this direction, close this eye so you can't anticipate seeing them and hit it.
Well, yeah. Well, hey, I got to stand on the other side because see, I'm blind in this eye, so I got to make sure my left eye is closed.
That's right. You don't want to have two eyes that you can't see out of. Make sure you're on the right side.
Hey, that's funny. So, hey, you were talking about like years of experience in the weight room with the kids and stuff, like for the Maxon and everything. With the middle schools that feed into Thompson, do y'all get to have like once the season's over with, do y'all bring over the eighth graders at all and lift them and kind of get them introduced to what you want to do? And if you do, what is some good stuff like that coaches could use? Like I've used PVC pipes before of like trying to teach them lifts. Like, do you have anything that you use for those eighth graders? And can you kind of tell us about that?
Yeah, so we do. We are blessed to have multiple strength coaches. So we have a middle school strength coach that handles everything down there. But we get together and I tell them like, hey, by the time these guys get up to me, I need this, this, and this. Be proficient in this. I don't care how you do it. I trust you. Just this is what I need. And then they do come over. So in the spring, those eighth graders will come over and they'll work out by themselves a couple afternoons. I think they start at 3:30 after their school gets out. So we'll train them up twice a week. And I have an assistant as well with me at the high school, Coach Williams, and he does a great job. And I kind of wanted to
Shout out Coach Williams.
shout out Coach Williams, but no, as an assistant, bringing him up, I was like, because he was the middle school strength coach, and I was like, I know how it could feel if you're just assisting. You feel like, man, I don't have anything that's mine. So I let him train the freshmen, like that's his thing. That way, it gives him like, he has a team that he's responsible for, and
Ownership. That's awesome.
yeah, give him some ownership and make so he's not just like, man, what am I doing? I'm just kind of like following you around every day, like, hey, this is yours. So he does a great job with that. But I'd say getting those young guys, I would just dole down the progressions. PVC pipes are great. Um, if you're talking about not every program cleans, we clean. I mean, you can work that.
They're
You
not
can work.
great for cleans. Yeah,
They're not
that's
great
the
for
only
cleans
downside.
because it's hard to
You
get
gotta
the
have weight.
elbows through. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
not. It's tough for cleans, but like maybe some squat patterning, maybe some learning how to hip hinge RDL. But I would say really just think about those progressions and dumb them down. Start off with a goblet squat for their squats with a kettlebell or a dumbbell light before they get on that barbell. And then another thing, like my squat progression, obviously work some PVC, maybe go overhead with the PVC before we get to that kettlebell. We hit the goblet squat. Um, and then even before they back squat or do a front squat, I'll do a zombie squat where they have that bar and it's across their shoulders and their hands are straight out. So I call it zombie squat, right?
Mm.
Right here. That way, when they squat down, if they have bad posture on the bottom, they dip down. What's that bar going to do? It's going to roll off the front. So making sure they have great posture, chest is up, they're sitting down in a great pattern. So I just think of your progressions like that. So that's how I do it. PVC, goblet, zombie. All right, we're good with that. And then even when we get on, first day of barbell back squatting, I'm not letting them load up and go heavy and just down and up. Use some tempos, eccentric, 5 seconds on the way down, Boom, then bring it up. All right, a couple weeks of eccentrics. All right, let's do isometrics. And I love the isometric.
Do you like box squats?
I'm not. We don't have a lot of boxes. I'll probably
Yeah.
utilize those more in season. The thing with boxes is like you got a bunch of different guys that are different heights, so a
So
box
hey,
might be
so
good.
help me out, so I never have to say get lower again as a coach. How do we get, you know, how do you progress to that kid that you know we're getting at least that parallel depth? You know, if you're not using, some people use a box, but then you're
Hmm.
not being able to control the weight down and come back up with it. So, what have you found the most efficient of getting a kid to hit like great depth?
Yeah, like I was gonna say with the ISOs, so have them in a squat and make them hold at the bottom, like 3 seconds in the bottom. Like they're not gonna stop halfway up. It's probably a little, honestly, a little easier to get all the way down, one, two, three, and go back up. So I found that ISOs, whenever I put in an ISO, they're not gonna want to stop above 90 because them quads are gonna be on fire. You know, they're gonna want to get all the way down so it puts more into their glute sit down there. Another thing is a med ball. Put a med ball down there. The med ball is pretty low, and if it's too low, what I'll do is take a bumper plate and sit on the floor, and then set the med ball, like raise it up a little bit, so it's not like too low. But med ball
Mhm.
has worked great, better than a box because it's not. You can't really sit on a med ball either. You know, it's kind of a tap and go.
Yeah. What's your favorite like body weight exercises like that you like for those ninth graders or even your older guys? Like pull ups are great. You know,
Yeah.
with us, some things that we struggle with. We got some big boys that you know the pull ups like we try to let them do negative reps because they can't do an
Mm-hmm.
actual pull up,
Oh yeah.
things like that. What's your favorite body weight exercises?
Pull ups, anything with the back. I'm big on developing like a lot of, I mean, this isn't body weight, but just in general, my philosophy is that back, that upper back, mid back, low back, that's part of your posterior chain too, right? People talk about posterior chain, they think about glutes, hamstrings, but that back is too. So pull ups, chin ups, any variation, you know, we'll do um, same tempo, that eccentric, ISO. I got one that's real tough. If you got some skill guys that are really good, you can do crazy threes. So 3 second tempo on the way up, one, two, three at the top, and 3 seconds down on on the way
Mm.
down. So you get 9 seconds of tempo. I call them crazy threes. Um, you know, same thing. I like pull up variations. I could go all day. You know, take towels up there, work that grip too on pull ups. So pull ups definitely a good one for body weight. Um,
Cow chin ups, man. Dang, Coach Collins took us to Alabama football camp, and freaking what's my yeah guy? I can't think of his name right
Coach
now.
Cochran.
Coach Cochran. So we went in there and we wanted to work out. Well, he put us through a workout, and they had the towel chin ups in there. And I'd be dang if we don't come back from Alabama football camp the next weekend and Monday.
Got some towels.
Coach Collins had them all in the weight room. Like
Yeah.
holy crap!
Another thing, another body weight, like pulling exercises, like inverted row. You'll put that bar down a little bit. They're laying on their back, looking to see, grab that bar, chest to the bar, or I call it inverted row. I think that people might have a couple other names for it. Um, any
You know
push
one
up.
thing I don't think a bunch of people work on that I mean including us, it's just and you kind of lose it is grip. Do y'all do any rice or holding plates like for grip or how much grip work do you guys do? Especially in football. It's kind of like a like you don't
Hmm.
really talk about a lot, but you got to have like really good grip to be a good football player.
Yeah, I do love the rice bucket. But the only thing with that is like that rice gets nasty.
Yeah.
I get my hands in there, so we don't do a lot of rice bucket stuff, but we do a lot of plate. We still have the metal old school 45 plates. We'll do plate carries, plate holds. Even if you have the bumpers, they can hold the outside of those. Those work good too. Um, we got, I mean, if you have the attachments for your pull-ups, like the balls that they can hold on to, they just look like the end of a,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't
The
know how to
attachments for the
describe
pull
them.
up.
Yeah, like the little attachments on the pull-ups. Those are good. Um, you can do like take a band and put like a 25 on the band and then put it on the bar and then roll the bar up,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Um, so that's probably about the extent. We did a ton of plate holds, plate carries, especially in the off season.
Got you. So okay, off season, in season. Here's the big question. I think a bunch of people have for different programs, and some people don't even lift during in season. Some people do. How much are the Thompson Warriors lifting during the season?
We get
The
3 days
varsity,
a week. Three
three
days a
days.
week. So we'll lift Sunday. We'll bring the kids in at like 2. They'll lift with me and then they'll meet a little bit, watch some film from the game or whatever, next game, whatever they want to do. I leave that to them. I don't coach any football. So after they get done with me, we're good to go. And
Nice.
then Monday they'll lift post practice, and then we'll do 30 minutes on Thursday, the day before a game, which is a lot of activation, a lot of explosive movement. We're obviously not going in there and back squatting heavy on Thursday before a game, but we're getting a little work, and we'll move them around right before walkthrough. So they'll do 30 minutes with me, and then they'll go out to walkthrough.
Nice. All right, so we were talking nutrition earlier. What are like some supplements? Like I know in high school I took some creatine. Like, do you recommend high school kids taking any kind of supplements? And if you do, like what? And then let's say like I'm a kid that's maybe not financially can afford like creatine or these big time protein shakes. Like, what are some good like alternatives for me to gain weight and get bigger, faster, stronger that I could just get as cheap?
Yeah, no, I definitely suggest a good protein. If you're a guy that needs to gain weight, maybe a mass gainer, I would recommend Optimum Nutrition because that's usually one of the cleaner brands that's more regulated. Some supplement companies aren't very regulated and kind of just throw whatever in there and you don't know what you're putting in your body. Definitely creatine. I think creatine's had a lot of good research on more than just getting stronger. It's very good for your cognitive, your brain function. It actually helps with like being in the heat, like your tolerance to heat. It'll help you with that. So I know creatine gets a lot of horror stories,
Mm-hmm.
but you look at the research, especially what they're coming out with lately. It's really good stuff for anybody at any age, not just athletes. So I'm definitely advocate of creatine. One thing I just always do though is like, hey, these are high school kids. Any coaches out there, make sure they're ask your parents what they think about creatine first. Just like, hey, make sure it's all right with your parents because they'll come to me and be like, Coach, what do you think about creatine? I'm like, oh, I think it's great, yada yada yada, but you need to ask your parents before you go. I don't want to be like, come home with some creatine. Coach Bunting said take this creatine. So protein, creatine, maybe a little weight gainer, if you're a smaller guy that needs to get bigger. And then if you can't, I mean, even if I would say this, protein and creatine are just supplements. So you still need a good diet. You still need to be eating like that's something 4 to 5 times a day as an athlete. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner probably ain't cutting it if you're trying to gain weight. Um, and that's kind of the difficult thing for me to get through guys' heads. Like you don't realize how many calories burn in a day and how active you are. So, some alternatives, if you can't, maybe you're not blessed enough to be able to get the protein and the creatine, I'd say get old PB&J and milk, some whole milk, some PB&J, is probably the go-to. I would say it's pretty affordable and it's got a lot. The whole milk. And don't get skim milk if you're a guy trying to gain some weight. Get that whole milk, big old PB&J, and that after your workouts, that's definitely what I would recommend substituting if you can't get the protein and creatine.
Nice. So going in right here to January, talking to any high school coach that's out there, while they're building up their off-season program, what lifts need to be in there? And I don't mean auxiliary. I mean what's the big three, four lifts that they need going into the off-season for them to be successful?
All right. Well, I'm a clean guy, so I'd say your clean variation, whether your power or hang. I do both. I do every clean variation. So cleans, squats. So front squat, back squat variations. If I had to pick one, I'd say back squat. So we go power clean, back squat, um, RDL. I'd say RDLs are great, posterior chain wise. Getting them hamstrings developed, getting that
You
backside.
like that with a dumbbell or a barbell?
I'll do single leg with a dumbbell,
Mm-hmm.
but if it's bilateral, 2 legs, I'm going on the bar, and
Mm-hmm.
then I would say um, low key like a sleeper,
Yeah, give me a sleeper.
push press.
Push press. Okay.
Yeah, so front right the bar, dip,
Uh-huh.
drive press. Because I
Yeah.
think the game of football, and you look at that lift, what are you doing? You're loading your legs, exploding through your hips, then you transition to your hands. You know, you talk about a D lineman, what's he doing? He's coming off the ball using his hips, striking with his hands. So I think that correlates a lot. Um, I think push
Yeah, I can see
press
that
is
definitely.
great. Yeah.
And I
So
don't know how much that's used
you're
around, maybe the state or programs and stuff like that.
I
That's
know.
what we kind of do every now and then. But
Yeah. Now I do a ton of push press. Um, with our guys just because I think it's one of those lifts that like you break it down like what are you doing like wow this is pretty similar to football especially with line play you're loading your legs you're exploding up through your legs through your hips to your hands like that's money.
true that. All right, last one, Coach, and I'll let you get out of here. What advice would you give to younger athletes that's just starting out?
Man, just I mean, it sounds cliche, but just step in and be the most consistent person in the room. It's easy to do it once, but it's easy to do it the first week of your off season. Everybody's gearing up right now. Like everyone's going to be excited first week of off season, but what? How's your mindset? How's your work ethic when you're 6 to 7 weeks into that winter and man, that season really ain't in sight. How's it going to be? When it's in the summertime and it's hot and you've been training for 6 months, and there's still no game. Football is a sport where you don't get a lot of opportunities to go play the game. Most of your process of being an athlete is training, so how consistent can you be? I always tell our guys as your consistency will either expose you or elevate you. You know, you're either going to elevate based on that, or eventually you're going to get exposed if you're not consistent. So
We had a saying at Auburn, and it was on Coach Russell's all the sheets, and it is the greatest form of toughness is consistency. So yeah, that's awesome, man. Hey, don't skip reps. What happens at Thompson? What you all right? So old Craig Sanders is in there, and you look over, and I'm supposed to be doing 5 reps, and I rack that bad boy at 4 and walk off. What's the accountability for skipping reps at Thompson?
you're going to have a little extra work with me. I won't go into detail, but you're gonna have some extra work. There's going to be some accountability. I won't go too far into detail, but we,
I
we don't
got you.
do we don't do punishments. We just get some extra work.
We just get some extra work. I love
That's
it. All
right.
right, Coach Bunton, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for your time today, man. Hey, y'all keep doing big things up there.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you having me on, and thank you for your time as well.